Goodbye to Goodland. A look back at the 90-year legacy of a naturist landmark. By Evan Nix. Goodland Country Club in Hackettstone, New Jersey, one of the nation's oldest traditional nudist clubs, quietly closed its doors this spring. In a March 25th statement posted on both the club's Facebook page and their website, owner and president Jack Korzilius announced his retirement and the immediate shutdown of all facilities, including the sun field, pool, sauna, and hot tub. This closure marks the end of a 90-year-old institution. Korzilius, who has owned the resort for the past 50 years, expressed heartfelt gratitude to loyal patrons, reflecting on the cherished memories and rich legacy of this historic naturist landmark. This announcement eluded our radar, perhaps due to Goodland Country Club not being affiliated with the American Association for Nude Recreation, AANR, formerly known as the ASA, and due to the fact that it did not garner headlines in the press. Over the last 90 years, Goodland provided a serene retreat for naturists and nudists, adapting to modern needs while maintaining its welcoming and safe environment. As one of New Jersey's flagship clubs, Goodland's long legacy marks it as a significant part of the state. The club was among the original New Jersey nudist parks born out of the first Big Bang era of American nudist clubs, alongside other early clubs like Sunshine Park in Mays Landing, closed in 1983, Rock Lodge, and Sky Farm, both still operational today. A legacy rooted in the 1930s. Goodland Country Club's origins can be traced back to the early 1930s, a pivotal time for the American nudist movement. The club's founders were involved in the early movement in New York, frequenting nudist gatherings and events hosted by fledgling non-landed groups. Among these groups was the International Nudist Conference, INC, led by Ilsley Boone, and the American Gymnosophical Association, AGA, run by Herman Soshinsky, where Ruth Winkler, an outspoken nudist who had been quoted in newspapers advocating for nudism, served as Soshinsky's secretary. Ruth Winkler went on to establish a group called Ruth Winkler Associates in the early 1930s. Following the passage of the 1935 McCall bill banning nudism in New York, many of these nudist groups sought refuge in neighboring New Jersey, known for its friendlier environment towards the practice. Fourbridge Acres. Ruth Winkler found a plot of Schooley's Mountain land to rent near Chester, New Jersey, owned by a Mr. Stephen Rock, and there established the Fourbridge Acres Nudist Club. The September 1935 issue of the Nudist magazine carried an introduction to the club, in which Winkler described this haven of happiness. Fourbridge Acres, three little words of great significance. Together they mean a haven of happiness and joy. They signify the camp of the Ruth Winkler Associates. Fourbridge Acres is situated in a truly rural and rustic environment surrounded by green-decked hills, 1,400 feet above sea level. Swimming in a spring lake, 2 smooth clay tennis courts, 2 volleyball courts so that everyone may play, badminton, baseball, table tennis, every form of sport, all these are available, and a congenial, active crowd makes each game a real thrill. Very soon after they took up residency there, the club faced opposition from a neighbor, a farmer named Will Searles, who waged a battle against the nudists on his neighbor's property. The tension culminated on September 2, 1935, when Searles invited outsiders to his farm for a public clambake, advertising his neighbors as the entertainment in hopes of driving the nudists out. The event reportedly drew 1,000 visitors, leading to a clash between state troopers and about 50 peakers who invaded the nudists' property. 13 of the invading textiles were arrested, and Searles was charged with disorderly conduct, though the charges were later dropped. By the following year, Searles had become a constable, representing the clothed arm of the law, and continued his campaign against the nudists. In April 1936, he vowed to fight the nudists till the bitter end. "Last fall I said I was going to fight them nuders till hell froze over," he told the press. "And even if hell does freeze over, I'll fight Rem on the ice." However, Searles' battle ended that very year when the nudists decided to relocate to another county 25 miles away, to a new property in Hackettstone, known as Goodland Estates. Establishing Camp Goodland. The Goodland Estates property was owned by Paula Kramer, whose husband, a wealthy New Yorker, had given it to her as a wedding present in the 1920s. The property included a massive ornate Victorian-style house, built in 1875 by a previous owner named Robert Kennedy. The home, known as the Goodland House or Goodland Terrace, was adorned with multiple gables and dormer windows and a large wraparound porch supported by columns. A distinct conical turret crowned the home, giving it prominence and visibility over the treetops. When Paula's husband lost his fortune in the stock market crash of 1929, he wanted to sell the property, but Paula would not have it. Seeking a way to make the estate self-supporting, she rented the land to a group who, at first unbeknownst to her, were nudists. Thus, Goodland Estates was transformed into Camp Goodland, a nudist resort. In July 1937, an ad in the Nudist magazine announced the reopening of Goodland Estates for the 1937 season. At the bottom of the ad was the New York office address for Ruth Winkler Associates. The estate, located 45 miles from New York, boasted luxurious accommodations and modern facilities, making it a popular destination for naturists. Ruth Winkler continued to deliver updates in the Nudist, highlighting its amenities and the friendly atmosphere that made it a beloved retreat. By 1939, Camp Goodland was a fully chartered member of the American Sunbathing Association, ASA, and was featured in the ASA Camp Directory in the back of the Nudist each month. Initially hesitant about the nudist lifestyle, Paula Kramer eventually embraced it and, as the owner of the estate, ultimately took over the nudist club's operation as camp director, learning the ins and outs of running a nudist camp. Her management and dedication turned Camp Goodland into a well-maintained, diverse resort with amenities such as a tiled swimming pool, athletic fields, and a barbecue area. From camp to country club, Paula Kramer continued running Goodland until the early 1970s when Joachim Jack Korzilius slowly convinced her to sell him the property. Mrs. Kramer was still working with me until she passed away in 1979, at 86. Jack told Nude and Natural magazine in 2007. Born to a wealthy German industrial family, Korzilius had moved to the United States in 1964, pursuing various ventures before buying the Goodland Club in 1974 for $250,000. When I took over, the place was on the downhill slide. Jack told a newspaper reporter in 1982, "I had to stop that and turn it around." He invested another $150,000 in renovations, adding trailers, remodeling cabins, and improving recreational facilities. At 39 years old, Jack officially took over in 1975. He promptly changed the club's name from Camp Goodland to Goodland Country Club, but assured the press that nothing else had changed. He later told Nude and Natural, "My main reason at the time was because camp sounds to me like outhouses and cow pies. Also, Country Club was hiding it a little bit. At the time when I came here, I know Americans were still, how should I say this, very squeamish over anything that had to do with nudism, and, locally, I didn't necessarily want it to be known that I'm Jack from the nudist camp. Although today it's a different story. Today, everybody knows me as Jack from the nudie camp. Many times that's how I identify myself." In 1978, Goodland's ASA charter was revoked, alongside several other nudist resorts charters, for not complying with a controversial new 100% member rule, requiring that all members of chartered clubs are also ASA members, instituted by the association during its 47th annual convention that year. Despite the setback, Jack continued to manage the club successfully for decades, maintaining other professional affiliations. In 1982, Jack offered a prediction about the future of the nudist camp business. Nudist camps will become fewer but more sophisticated, and they're going to have to learn to market their product in a proper way. It's an alternative form of recreation. You can go to Great Adventure, you can go to Long Beach Island, you can play gold, or you can go to a nudist camp. The end of an era. Over the years, Goodland Country Club remained a cherished haven for naturists, adapting to changing times while preserving its core values. However, when Jack Korzilius announced his retirement and the club's permanent closure in 2024, it marked the end of an era. The closure of Goodland Country Club signifies the loss of one of the last remaining vestiges of New Jersey's rich nudist history, a state sometimes referred to as the cradle of American nudism. Attempts to reach Jack Korzilius for comment have gone unanswered. Goodland's legacy will be remembered for its contributions to the naturist movement and the countless memories it provided to its members. As Jack Corzilius expressed in his farewell statement, "This is a bittersweet period for me, but it is now time to focus on my personal life as I move forward." The end of Goodland Country Club closes a significant chapter in the history of American nudism. Its impact will be remembered for years to come. We hope you're enjoying Planet Nude. If so, please consider a paid subscription. Your membership comes with exclusive content and supports our work. Subscribe at www.planetnude.co. This episode of Planet Nude podcast is sponsored by the Naturist Action Committee, dedicated to making naturism an accepted part of society. Learn more at www.naturistaction.org.